All right, we're live. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Mad Maker Show. My name is Eloy. I'm the host. We have a co-host today. Um, there's a long story, but before we get to that, I just want to mention a couple of things. If you're visiting the show, if you're running into this on YouTube for the first time, this show is about interviewing folks from around the world that create things, right? They envision things, and then they think, well, I'm gonna build it, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna create it. Those things that I imagine. So a special group of people we call makers. There's a new um, sort of people have always been making, but now there's an added with an for the longest while, but closer to this time, there's been the inclusion of the creating aspect. People in their basements, garages, shops, across the world, but also this new element where there's social media and people can share on with videos and photos and blogs and all that. So that mixture, that combination, those two things coming together, it's sort of like a interesting new era. So there's a whole vast ocean of people that are like-minded and are involved with sharing ideas. So that's what the show is about. And Mad, frankly, it's true that, what are you going to do? A lot of people out there, they're kind of crazy and mad, but not mad like insane, although that could happen. There could be some out there that are sort of like, chink, 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 but most of them know mad like, hey, caution to the wind, let's do it. What do I have in mind? Okay, let's build it. That kind of crazy mad, where other people would say, well, maybe I could, maybe. No, these folks, they're willing to step over the line and try it. So in a nutshell, that's what the show is about. So with that said, we have a co-host today. Generally we have JP Woodwork, and that's Jamie Page, but he just had a birthday, and a huge surprise was sprung on him. He was what was it? How much was it, Doc?
600 and some pounds.
Yeah. So a bunch of maker friends got together, and so he's playing with his toys now, so we can't bother him. So Doc is filling in. This is Doc Jared Hildabrant. What's going on, Doc?
Hi, everybody. How's it going? It's good to be here. Good to sit in for JP. I was told by JP to do the following things. I am drinking from my man crafting mug. And I'm supposed to mention his podcast. So he is 1/5 of the Makers International podcast, our boy. And power and jpwoodwork.com. I said that wrong. It's got a dash in there. But he told me the website wasn't important. What was important was to mention Harnealmedia, because he's like that. And yeah, my name is Doc. You guys know me. No plugs. Glad to be here. Eloy.
Doc, that was psychedelic, man.
I'm trying to read the chat at the same time. And I was I had way too many things going on at one time.
That's great.
Yeah. Whew. I'm getting yelled at by Bales in the chat. What's up, buddy? No. Yeah.
So who's out?
We're all in trouble.
Who do we have out there, by the way?
Right by. I see Jules is out there. John, Be Happy John's out there. Bales is yelling at me for not wearing my scratch t-shirt, I'm sure. Crosscut. Javi's outside or out in the chat. What's up? Jim Bashir's, old school Jim Bashir's in the house. Little known fact, Jim Bashir's is actually in the chat of every maker show simultaneously ever. That's a fact. You can look that up on the internet.
All right. So we'd like to welcome Amanda Dukes of Rustic Duck Furniture to the show. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, very much so. We're very excited ourselves to have you on here. I love the work that you do. We were talking earlier that, too much love in one direction makes a person feel a little bit unsteady, uneasy. I came across your work in a group on Facebook, and just the furniture is amazing. I love the stock because I love Rustic, and just the amount of different, unique within that genre of furniture and finishes that you do. It's just mind blowing, you know. So yeah, so I'm a fan. Like I said, I'm gonna say it again. So
you're gonna make me go all shy now.
well, so tell us a little bit about you, your past. Give us, a little bit so that folks have placement, and we'll start with that. Where you're from, where you're at, just a little bit of background history, early history, however you want.
You betcha. Well, obviously the accent might give it away, but I am originally from the UK, from England. I now live in Canada. And when I lived in the UK, I didn't do anything at all like woodworking, not to the degree that I do it now. I suppose I first got my feet wet when I left college. I went to work for a chain of retail jewelers in their design and display department for their shop windows. So we did all the storefronts and window displays and made all of that. And that was super fun. And then from there, I went on to working for a structural glazing company as an estimator. So really from there on, that's where I learned to read plans. And so, and it's actually super funny now, because when you're at school in your math class, and you're sitting there and it's like, when am I ever going to use Pythagoras theorem? When do I ever need to know the area of a circle? Well, let me tell you, it's when you're about 48 years old and you decide that you're going to start making furniture. Learning things like that is really, really important. So if there's any children watching, you will use this at some stage in the future. I kind of got an all-round basis for the means behind building things from sort of early on, and then sort of fast forward however many years. I've been in Canada for 10 years now, and I really started making about 4 years ago. And I did the same as most people did. It's kind of out of necessity. I wanted to make a picture frame. So YouTube is everyone's best friend at the minute, hey? So I made a picture frame, and, the story can go on from there. If you want me to, I don't know if you want to interject, I can carry on.
Well,
but I do want to say something, though.
Yeah.
I have a bone to pick with both you and Doc. Okay. Not one of you told me that it was a prerequisite to grow a beard for coming on this show. I feel actually kind of left out.
An accent as good as yours, Amanda, is kind of like an implied beard. So we're gonna say accent equals implied beard. Yeah,
the British accent is an implied beard. That's
implied
awesome.
Beard. I think write it in the heavens. We're gonna go with that from this point.
That's perfect. I'm gonna have that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Pythagoras for first mention of the Pythagorean theorem in the history of the Mad Maker show.
That is
there
true.
You go. This is going to be an evening of firsts.
Well, could you go back to that one moment when you wanted to, out of necessity, create, what was it, a picture frame that you were?
Yeah. Where I live in rural Canada with my Canadian husband. We live a ways from anywhere. I remember when this whole Rustic bandwagon just started running down the tracks and taking off, and everyone was having barnwood picture frames and barnwood everything. And I wanted one of those. And if I'm relatively honest, when I was growing up in the UK, men built things. I mean, I was brought up in the city. I know sort of rural girls are very hands-on and stuff, but I was a city girl, and to me, men built things and women didn't, you know. And even though my husband is the super handiest person in the world, I'm like, okay, babe, can you build me this picture frame? And he didn't have time, and I'm so belligerent. And it was, oh, well, if you're not going to build it, I'm going to build it myself, thinking that he'd be like, oh, well, no, it's okay, I'll do it for you. And he's like, well, go on then. And I'm like, hang on a minute, did you just call my bluff? So, you know, so I'm like, okay, well, I actually have no idea what I'm doing. I know we have all the tools in there. We had a little garage at the time. So I jumped on YouTube, and there was still a plethora of tutorials, even sort of back 4 or 5 years ago. And I'll never forget using the miter saw for the first time, hey? So I'm like, okay, I need to do this at a 45-degree angle to miter these corners. There is no way I am putting my hand on that piece of wood when that blade is going through. That I was terrified. So, you know, when you screw the clamp down, I remember screwing the clamp down to hold the wood and just standing back with it at arm's length, which is absolutely the most dangerous thing you can do anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I made my first picture frame. I had no idea about proper joints. It's actually quite embarrassing to say. I can't even believe the thing's still together. But I think I used a hot glue gun and staples to hold it together at the back. Awesome. I had no idea. But the thing is, when you're a creative person, you don't think of the proper way that things should be done, do you?
No.
You just think of a way to get it done.
Yes.
You know? And this thing actually, yeah, the frame is still together. And then sort of from there, it's like, hang on a minute, I did this. I used this big old miter saw, and I still have every limb that I was born with. This is awesome. Now, what else can I make? And then it wasn't, I think I posted a picture of it online or something, and a friend of mine messaged me and said, hey, have you seen Anna White's site? And of course, to me, that was like, it was like the heavens opening. You know, when you've always got a creative mind, but there was never an outlet for it. Now, all of a sudden, I can see a girl doing guy stuff, which is what I thought at the time. Hang on, you mean girls can do this? And then we skipped forward a few steps, and I was introduced to the Wood Whisperer channel, Mark. And the very first video I watched of his was about wood movement, and I nearly freaking died. Because none of these 2x4 furniture sites that show you the basics on how to do things with pocket holes explain anything about wood movement. And your heart sinks, you feel sick about, you know, the 2 or 3 things that you made before. Well, what's going to happen to them? So now I've got to spend months looking into wood movement and stuff. So I think, you know, I wish if there was one thing that any tutorial site or YouTube video site could do, it would be, before they give anyone any plans, you have to answer this simple questionnaire. Do you know what wood movement is? You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. Do you know what kickback from a table saw is? Do you know how to straight edge a board? Do you know how to check your lumber for moisture content? Because it would solve so many problems. And then I think it would stop and I refer to them, and I say them because I do it too. It would stop the 2x4 furniture builders getting such a bad rap, because people see that area of woodworking here, and they think that we don't care. But if people don't know or aren't led to the knowledge to help somebody else progress, how are they going to know? So
Yeah.
I wish there would be more, little snippets of information in some of these tutorials to help people, because that's all you'll find. If you look online for a tutorial of how to build a dining table, you're not going to find a tutorial of how to check your boards for square, how to mill up your boards. You're just going to find how to build this dining table. It's going to say, get your Craig jig and Craig 6 planks together. There's your table, done deal.
Yeah, it's not
So
until the person that got inspired and has that spark within them, and they go out and they purchase all this lumber and they build the thing and they accomplished it and they feel like, wow, I did this, and then all of a sudden they realize there's issues. Then they have to go and investigate those other disciplines within the it's true.
And I find it really sad, because then, how many people have had that immense feeling of, I made that, and then all of a sudden when it goes sideways, how many people have decided they're never going to do that again because they must be useless?
Also, isn't it true though? So I'll ask you this: so like playing devil's advocate with that, I don't think anything would have stopped you, regardless. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, you're probably right. But the thing is, by my very nature, I like to find out why. If I'm doing something, or if I do a tutorial, or if I show somebody something, I won't just say, join these two pieces of wood together. I'll say why. Not because it will fall over, but because, well, we're using this joint because it's stronger, and the reason we use this joint is because you've got more of a glue face, and that's why it's stronger. Do you know what I mean? If you tell people why, then they can understand. So for me, I wouldn't say nothing would stop me. Nothing would stop me figuring out why something went wrong, because but that's just a personal thing. I think if you have an inquisitive nature, to learn and stuff like that, then you'll always succeed.
So so that people know visually what we're talking about, what you create, the wonderful furniture that you create. I'm going to go ahead. We discussed this prior to the show. I'm gonna share screen, and maybe you could talk a little bit, and you can tell me next when there's nothing applicable that you can add. So we'll do that right now, and after that bit, we'll do that so folks can see the awesome. And by the way, I love rustic furniture, country furniture. Just I love that, and I love the finishes. We'll talk about it as we see. But after that, Doc, any questions out there that folks have, you can sort of check, keep those in mind so that we can ask Amanda after
You got it.
that part. And also, if you want to check out after you see this on your own, all the links are below, so you can check out Rustic Duck Furniture on Instagram. You got a big following on Instagram, yeah?
It's not bad yet.
So we're gonna go ahead and share the screen. Can you guys see? Can you guys see?
Yeah, we're good. We see it.
Okay.
I see it. I'm not the target market here, though. That might be somebody in the audience that should say that.
Okay, so you guys, do you see the images here, Amanda?
I do. You want me to explain that one?
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll let folks,
They see that.
enjoy the furniture, and you talk a little bit about them, give us a synopsis, and then I'll sort of toggle forward. and then you mentioned the next one. So hit us with it.
Okay. So with that one, that was like a little TV corner unit, and I didn't build it, but I did teach the girl who came to my shop, and she built it. I had a customer who messaged me who said, "Oh, I'd really love to do what you do, but I don't have the premises. You know, I don't have any of the tools." And I'm like, "Well, get your backside down here, girl, and we can have a day together, and I will teach you or show you how to make it." And that's what she made at the end of the day. So that took us both one day to make.
Very cool. I'm gonna press the present here because, yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's continue on. I love the finish on.
Okay. I have that finish on top there. I have a YouTube video on, which is quite a popular one, but it's for me, if I'm going to do tutorials for anything, I always like to try and make it as easy as possible, because the way I look around things is you don't earn any friends by trying to make yourself look clever by saying, "Oh, look at this, this is so hard, but you know, I'm going to show you how I do it, but you can't possibly do it." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I do a tutorial, I always like to try and find the easiest way to show people so that they can get an effect and they don't have to be scared. People are terrified of paint and stain. At the end of the day, it's paint and stain. If you did that and it went wrong, there's nothing that a $15 can of furniture stripper won't fix.
Well, that's right. I love the white and then that washed out gray and on the sides here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. What a great side table.
And people don't realize as well that it, like you can see on the tutorial there, to get that gray look, you actually don't use a gray stain. You use, you know, like a dark walnut or a Kona. And then when you dry brush over the top, because of the tones in the Kona, when you add the white, it turns it to gray.
Oh, that's an excellent tip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move. What is this? Is that like a whole entertainment center?
No, that's a bed base.
Oh, I see.
That was a bed base. You can't see those three drawers. It was the guy's house was really, really beautiful and super, super minimalist. So he wanted a super minimalist platform bed. And these drawers were on the push closers, so that there was no hardware on it or anything like that. So that was just when the bed was in process. All you did was literally press your finger and the drawer would come out and stuff. Yeah, he really loved that, bless him.
Build availability and inquiries for new builds.
Look at that. I was way back when. Oh, there's me going all.
Am I going in the wrong direction though? I want to go from where I started.
You're back in 2015. Yeah.
Let's go forward.
Yeah, you're kind of going.
Am I going in the wrong direction? Which direction am I going? Let's start from the top.
Just go up.
Let's start. Let's start with the sign.
Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice.
This was 4 hours ago.
Yeah, it's do you know the downside of being a maker is that you can make anything you want when you know how. So I will make myself things for the house, and then in 6 months to a year, I'll get tired of them and sell them on. So yeah, I'm just in some of my signs in the house for room for new wall art.
Is that threaded rod? So that's beautiful. And even the table, I mean, you literally are surrounded by your creations, right?
Yeah. The table, actually, no, it's not. It's just literally decorative bolts. So I took
You tricked us.
Oh God, I can't even. What's that?
You tricked us. I thought that there was they were running
oh no, There are there's nuts and bolts in there, but it doesn't go all the way through. It's only like they're about 1.5 inches into the table. It's literally just decorative.
Yeah, I get it. Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
And the base, look at that.
That was just me playing one night. I think I had this old tabletop in excuse me, in the shop from another project. And so I cut it down, and then, you know, you guys know yourself when you're in the shop and you just think, well, I'm just gonna play. So I made the base just it's orderly. But I wanted to see if I could do something with the jigsaw, and also to practice, because my next tool purchase is going to be a bandsaw, and I really need one of those.
Nice.
And that's another one, yeah, that's going.
Very nice.
Oh, is this acrylic paint and you're doing that drip or no?
That's epoxy.
Oh.
Yeah. The story behind this is, I think if you skip forward, you might be able to see some of the pictures of it.
Wow.
Yeah. I went to yeah, and I made a walnut tray out of it. I went to
man, that is so cool.
I went to an epoxy demonstration, the Eco Epoxy guys. And I was so inspired. So I bought a kit of it, and it was about 8:30 at night. This wasn't too long ago. And I'm like, I have to play. I do vaguely know how to do marble veining and stuff like that. So literally those pictures from before are on my kitchen table, over a 3/4 inch sheet of ply. So I mixed some epoxy, added a white pigment to it, and then in 3 smaller cups I mixed some acrylic black paint, acrylic gold, and acrylic gray in with some epoxy, poured the whole white thing over the sheet of ply, and then just with a feather and a couple of other tools did the veins in it, and it turned out really well. So I made it into a tray, and that's just a picture I liked. Oh, I loved that one. It was for a friend of mine. She just wanted a really skinny cabinet, and I have some amazing friends, because they'll just say, okay, I have this space, can you build me something to fit it? And a lot of them just give me complete free reign to do what I want to do, and that's what I came up with for her.
This is a good example for me, although there's many great examples in your photos and your work of what I just love this, because to me, so this piece, for instance, if you walk into a house and you see this piece in the house, it's a totally different universe apart from walking into a place where, and no, you know, no disrespect to that, but like just a plain old whatever, right? You walk in and you see this, and it's sort of like it's telling you, I've got a story to tell you. It's got depth to it, and I love that.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, it's look at that. And by the way, so we're on Facebook. This is your Rustic Duck Furniture on Facebook, but you mostly everything you do, you post.
Most of it's posted to Instagram.
Instagram, right?
Yeah, because of the the algorithms. When you've got a Facebook business page, it shares to even less people than the Instagram one does. Oh yeah, you can see the base of the table. No.
So your Instagram is Rustic Duck Furniture, yeah?
Yeah, you betcha.
Look at that.
That was just a nice dress. I said this was a hugely favorite build of mine.
Which one? This one?
This, yeah, it's the same as the next. This is the base pedestal to the next picture. And if you click across,
Oh,
there you
wow.
go. It's okay. I had a friend, or I have some friends who were very fortunate when playing the lottery. We'll just leave it at that. So whenever he decides he wants something, he will just message me and say, I want you to build me a games table, and I want you to do it like with the Calgary Flames logo on it. And again, they give me complete free reign to do whatever. So I researched some of the old crib and chess tables, and came up with that design. And so that's all hand painted on the bottom. The top is rough cut lumber, and then the actual chessboard is maple, and it's either sapel or Paduke. I believe is it called sapel? Is that how you pronounce it?
Is it Sapele?
Sapele, whatever. I always think it's a sapel. But
Yeah,
so that was a really nice chess and crib board.
Oh, wow. Tell us, this will be we'll talk a little bit about this one. We'll run through a few so they can see, and then we'll go to questions, because I'm sure that there's folks asking questions.
Sure.
This is mind-blowing.
This is actually, I have a customer. She lives out, or she's got a cottage out in British Columbia, and I've built all of her kitchen cabinets for that cottage. So every time she's doing a piece and she comes over to Alberta, she'll ask me for another cabinet, and she'll take it back with her. And this was the final piece. This was the island. And she just wanted the rustic barn door, sliding barn door. But the doors on this island that are hanging, they're the same profile as all the other doors on her cabinets in the kitchen that I built for her. And she's put a concrete top on there now, I believe.
Oh, wow. Well, that's just a stunning piece. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
We're going to run through a few here, but we're going to get back to Doc so he can, wow, look at that. My goodness. I'm telling you, look, I love
that one. I loved that one.
Yeah, let's not run through. Let's stop and talk. Tell us a little bit about this, because that's just how you're awesome. I'm sorry. At the risk of embarrassing, it's just, look at that. I mean, to me, this, I don't know why it speaks to me. I just love the rustic.
That actually, my customer, again, she's like, I'm so lucky, because the people that I've been fortunate enough to meet through doing this, my customers are all the most amazing people in the world. And the lady that had this, she sent me a message and she said, I kind of need a buffet hutch. If I do a rough sketch, can you make it for me? And I'm like, I'll see. And so she did a rough sketch, and she came up with she said she had a lot of coral accents, and she wanted that somewhere on the piece, and she liked gray. So this is what I came up with.
Oh, it's stunning. The color, I mean, just the woodwork, the look, and then the way you finished it inside that way and the outside. To me, I mean, there's no argument here. This is bad to the bone, to the max, and the story. World coming to an end. Oh, wow, look at this. Yeah, guys, we're gonna go to your questions now. Oh, wow. But go and just follow her on Instagram, because that's where you post most. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back.
Yeah, it is.
Stop presenting, and I think that's and stop sharing. All right.
Wow.
That was cool. All right.
Thank you.
Show and tell time is over for now. That was great. If I could interject my opinion for a second, a lot of what I see as far as rustic stuff, it looks really forced to me, and your stuff always looks like you knew just when to stop. Like, you know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
Even the distressed stuff. It's like if you hit it one more time with a brush, or you know what I mean? And I think that speaks more than anything. You know what I mean? Knowing when to back off.
And you know as well, I have such a big tip for someone who's doing that, because I mean, I know distressing is a buzzword, antiquing is a buzzword, and glazing and so on. But if it's, if it's in and customers want it, then, and you get asked to do it, then you have to do it. And I don't mind because I love it. But, sometimes I see a lot of pieces where, you're right, Doc, it looks forced. You've got someone's gone like this there and then this there. And you've got 5 or 6 straight lines on a flat panel. And when you're like, well, that would never happen at all. So a good tip for me is all the time, every step of the process when I'm building something, I'll take a picture of it, and then I'll come into the house and then I'll look at the picture on my phone, because it makes you look at it through a different person's eyes. It's almost as though you're seeing it online. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you can kind of become critical. You can say, well, I don't like that. That bit doesn't look right. And then I can go back into the shop and do any touch-ups or not that I need to, because I've removed myself from it. Does that make sense?
No, completely. Like
I do that all the time.
Light hitting it from a different direction and changing your perspective is always advantageous. I'm gonna run through a couple of questions from the chat for you right now. First question was from Javi. How's it going, Javi? He wanted to know what was your favorite medium?
My favorite what? Medium. As in to paint furniture with, or to draw with, or?
Yeah, whatever. You're a maker. It could be anything.
I would say it has to be paint. I mean, I love staining, but it has to be latex paint. And primarily because, and this is probably what Eloy wants to get into a bit later, I was an interior painter. And for me, just the instantness of paint to change anything just gets me. I'm very impatient. So yeah, latex paint all day long. I'm a latex girl. I shouldn't say that. That sounds wrong. I'm not a latex girl.
Don't Google that. Yeah. Kids in the chat, don't Google that.
Yeah, totally. Paint will change a room. I mean, it's been said, right? But it'll change anything in the book. Yeah.
Okay, put one on the big board for latex paint. Okay. So your favorite discipline would probably be painting too, then?
Oh, without a doubt. Do you know what? And it's funny because I even do it now. I've got all the spray equipment in the world, but there is nothing more cathartic and relaxing to me than brushing on a finish. I love it. And just silly things like if I'm hand painting something with a 2-inch angled sash brush, I will not mask anything off, because I still like to keep my skills as a painter and to cut a nice sharp line. I really enjoy doing that. It's my thing. I'm sad. I have no life.
Well, it sounds
I cut paint lines for fun.
Sounds like you have a fulfill. You know what you like.
I do.
That's more than most people do. Anna's Workshop wanted to know what was your favorite project piece of furniture to date?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, whichever one we were just looking at, right?
I know, no doubt, because every single project, I really want to answer this, because I don't want to be one of those generic people that say, oh, I love them all.
All right, well then I'm going to grill you. Come on,
actually, let's go. I know what it was. It was one that when I was first started the 2x4 furniture, I was building from Anna White plans. And a friend of mine had sent me, or had said actually, I need a bar building for my basement, but we've only got a tiny space. And also, can you incorporate a Chevrolet tailgate in there? And I think there's a picture of it somewhere on Facebook, Eloy. And I'm a firm believer in that Richard Branson quote. If you can't do something, say you can and figure it out as you go along. So I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll do that. And so that was the first time working with proper reclaimed wood, trying to fit, you know, this big metal tailgate in and trying to figure out hinges and trying to figure, you know, it was the first project where I really had to think for myself how to make it work, and it turned out awesome. I loved it. So it's a Chevrolet tailgate bar was my favorite.
Okay, thank you. That sounds awesome. All right. What's your favorite go-to finish? Is it? I think you gave the answer already, but Bales wanted to know go-to finish.
It actually go-to finish is, it would be the latex over stain
Latex
finish,
over stain?
because depending on what color stain you use underneath, depending the method of application of your latex on top, you can get so many different effects that it's, you know, it's incredible. You can scrape, you can dry brush, you can whitewash, you can blackwash, you know, so to me, the combination of both would be my favorite finish, even though my favorite medium would be latex.
Can I just ask, Doc, I'm sorry, just ask because now I'm curious in that little moment here. You usually do matte as opposed to a gloss, or no? It depends.
Do you know what? It really, I would stay away from a gloss and I would stay away from a matte, but you can go from anywhere, any of the sheens, satin, semi-gloss, whatever, because that doesn't matter. What matters is the clear coat. That's going to give you your sheen. So if you've got some old interior eggshell that you want to use as a whitewash, have at her. That's going to work. Because, and when people say you can't put paint on top of stain, yes, you can. You can
Yes,
do
you
it
can.
in so much as the fact that you've not got this big ass expanse of stain that you're going to put 5 coats of latex on top, because that ain't going to stick properly because your surface isn't prepped. But when you're dry brushing or whitewashing, you are leaving behind residue. You're not leaving behind the full thing. And it's the same as putting stain on top of paint to use that as a glaze. Do you know what I mean? It's the way you a project. There's always things that you can do that people tell you can't. And I think, I think that's probably what makes me. If someone says you can't do it, I'm going to find a way to try and prove you wrong.
I am so like that. I agree.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree. Thank you.
Don't you think?
Thank you, Anna Concrete, for the super chat. Thank you so much for the love. Go on, Doc. I'm sorry.
But don't you think a lot of makers are like that? We're so, if I do this, then this happens. What if I do this? But hang on a minute. If this does that, we sit there and our brains race. And before I even knew there was a maker community, and when I started building, I'd sit up in bed, it'd be 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd be thinking, my mind wouldn't stop. And I just thought, what's wrong with me? And then all of a sudden you get online and you get onto Instagram and Facebook, and there's this huge community of people that are just like you. And you can share all these amazing ideas. The one I absolutely adore more than anyone else in the world is Izzy Swan. Like, are you kidding me? I want to go inside his brain for 5 minutes just to see what's going on inside there, because he's insane.
I'm going to speak on Izzy's behalf and say that's somewhere you do not want to go. I think I know him well enough to know that he would say that's not a good idea. But yeah, I get where you're coming from on that one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind, I'm going to go back to the questions now.
Oh, sure. Sorry,
Oh,
I
it's quite
told
all
you.
right. It's, you know, I just wanted to make sure you didn't have anything to add.
No, I'm good.
All right, Tracy Keaton in the chat, and this is a good question. What's the best way to stretch latex paint?
The best way to stretch latex paint,
Yes.
as in you want to make it go further.
Either go further or last longer in the can, maybe. Is there anything you
probably
could do?
Yeah, she probably meant that because I can't foresee Tracy grabbing onto a.
At the end of the day, if you want to make a paint last longer, there is, I don't know what she means. I mean, you can add to its drying time. There's a product called Floetrol. So if you add Floetrol to latex paint, that extends its open time, so it'll stay wetter longer. Wasn't there, I'm not sure whether this was just for stains or not, because I haven't tried it. I'm sure I saw Mark with the Wood Whisperer had a product that you either sprayed or you poured on in the top of your stain, and then when you put the lid on. Am I imagining this? Can you remember that?
I don't know that one, but I know that if you like you have a welder in your shop, a gas welder, and you have argon, if you have argon shielding gas, I've seen guys shoot a little bit of argon into the top of a can of paint because argon's heavier than the air inside, forces out all the air before they put the lid on. And supposedly I don't know that to be I don't know that to be true, but I've seen that before. I see an old timer do that.
He asked old latex paint, so I guess that it's drying out and you want to revive it, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there
well,
it is.
I mean, the only thing you can do with that is really, I would just say, I mean, there is going to be a point where you can't use it, if it's got too many lumps, but you can just add water, mix it up. And then the best tip ever is get an empty paint can, get an old pair of pantyhose, stretch it over the top of the paint can, and then when you dump your paint through it, the pantyhose acts as like an amazing strainer.
Will boxers do the same?
No. Unless you have really stretchy boxers. I mean, to be fair, I mean, use your common sense. I mean, I haven't had any paints for so long that I've had to go back to them. I typically.
Right, you have fast movers now.
What's that?
Everything you have moves fast now. You have fast movers.
Yeah.
Your go-to white, your go-to.
If I've got like a quarter of a can of something that's getting old, then I'll just make something and use it. Abide things being sat around and not used. It's wasteful.
Okay.
Next question, Doc.
Next question. Coming up in the future, what's something that you're looking forward to tackling, and something down the road that you would really like to tackle?
What's something I am looking forward to tackling? Oh, I have let me see, 3 or 4 corner locker builds coming up. They're big ones. They're a double-edged sword. I love them when they're done. But when before you start a really big project, you've got that cloud over you that's like, oh my God, this is huge. It's going to take forever. And then when it's done, it's like, oh my God, this looks awesome. But one of those is it's for a changing room in so I have friends that have got this massive walkout basement, and there's a changing room for their hot tub area. So this big, massive, full wall length locker system with tin inserts and an angled tin roof coming off it. That's going to be wicked. I don't know how I'm going to move it when I've built it, but it's going to be wicked. What else am I looking forward to? Oh, I'm going to Weekend with Wood next week in Des Moines.
Okay, I saw a link for that on the
with
website.
Wood Magazine. I am super excited for that.
Yeah, it sounds.
Because it's going to be nice to connect with the other makers and the other influencers there, because at the minute most of my projects are custom orders, and anybody who does custom orders knows that what we see as trending, for the next big build, your customer doesn't start ordering it for 6 months and then all of a sudden that's all you ever build for the next year. So I'm trying to slow down on custom orders, which is very tough because that's what pays the bills. But I have to explore my creativity with regards to just making cool shit. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm not saying the customers don't order cool stuff, but they order the stuff that they've seen on Pinterest.
Right.
And it's typically something that I've built before or a variation thereof. And if you don't stretch yourself and build something new, then you're gonna die. You're gonna get stale. So I want to, I have to wrap up these custom orders. I'd like to be done by Christmas. But to be fair, I said this last year. I want to be done by Christmas. And then look, here I am still not finished with the custom orders. So
what does the process look like as far as you know you have this much waiting time, you tell the customer, listen, yeah, you want this piece, but how does that look like? Can you give us a little bit of that?
So typically what happens is I will get a message. I don't really advertise anywhere, and most of my work is either word of mouth or it comes through Facebook. So typically I'll get a message from somebody who's seen a post of mine somewhere and say, hey, could you tell me how much you charge to build this dresser, for example? So I'll say, yeah, sure, absolutely. Something like that with rough dimensions would cost XYZ. And then I say if it was an inquiry today, I would say I am booked up until the beginning of October. However, if that's something you're prepared to wait for, then I require a X amount deposit against what you want to order, and I will book you in and we'll build your piece as and when you need it. And then obviously between a booking in date and when the piece is built, we converse, we talk about colors, sizes, hardware,
But you want that,
but that's generally,
you want that deposit in your hand, like the moment that they agree to it, you're like, okay, that's
without a doubt, nobody goes in the diary. Nobody's booked in until I have a deposit. And it sounds as though I'm being ruthless, but I'm not. Because how many people do you know that would message you and say, oh yeah, book me in, and then if you didn't take a deposit 6 months down the line, it's like, oh well, I can't afford it.
No, money where your
do you know
mouth
what I
is.
mean?
I've been getting that.
Yeah.
I've been getting that situation for the past month and a half. I was going to be commissioned to do it's weird, but it's like a staff with a voodoo head, and the dude was, and this is that, and then boom, what happened? Okay, comic book chest, the same thing. The American flag thing. I get the messages on my Facebook all the time, and most drop out, some don't, but there's always that. So having that deposit down is like the thing, right?
Well, the thing is as well, the deposit pays for materials and my time to go and get the materials. So what I take as the deposit pays pretty much all straight away for their materials. So wood's got time to sit and acclimatize and all that kind of stuff. And then if anything happens, it's never happened, but if anything, did happen and it's like, well, I don't want it, blah, 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 I can't afford it, then I could sell it on, and make my money back that way. I've had customers that you know, fallen hard times, you know, come their build date. So it's a case of, well, you know, if you hang on, I'll complete the build, and if I sell it, then I'll refund you some. I'm not a heartless cow. You know, I appreciate we all have
Yeah, they're
situations where,
right, but you can't be railroad. You can't, be run over, again and again. There has to be.
oh no, don't get me wrong, that's probably only happened a couple of times over the last 18 months, and I get it, because the way that the Alberta economy is at the minute, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Alberta, but Alberta is very much like Texas. Its prime output is oil, and when the oil patch is good, the money's good. And about 3 or 4 years ago, actually when I was just coming into it, the orders were just flowing in. It was insane. And actually I got really ill from working like constantly. But for the last 18 months, whilst I'm still busy, it's not as insane as it has been. So I get that, I get that the economy's gone down the tubes, and yeah, I don't get railroaded, but I'm not heartless.
Well, it lets people know that you're serious and that it takes a commitment to get in the book more than, oh, I really want one, because it's nice to say that you want one, but at the same time, if I'm going to put my time aside, you need to put your money aside.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it, actually, Doc.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Your money equals my time.
Yeah. If you want me to put, my time.
That's another T-shirt.
Write it down. Madmakershow.com.
Taking notes. Merch.
Shop./
Yeah.
merch store. I gotta say one thing. I'm done with the questions for now, but you're very humble in the fact that you make it seem that those finishes just happen to flow out. But that's another thing. Like, for every yard sale that you've ever gone to and you've seen someone attempt to redo a piece of furniture with that finish, it just doesn't happen. So obviously, that takes some time and some skill to work out. But it is very nice, and yours is some of the nicest work in that genre that I've found. Because some of the really hard rustic kind of gets to me, but yours is beautiful. So
I really appreciate that, Doc. Thank you. That means a lot.
You're quite welcome.
All right. So your shop, tell us a little bit about your work area and some of the go-to tools. Give us a little bit of shop info, because we're also fanboys of shop tools and all sorts of stuff, although some might not want to admit it. But so hit us with a little bit of the tools, your shop, and all that.
Okay, so I will start. When I met my husband, way back when, before he worked in the oil patch, he worked with his uncle and was a framing carpenter. So he bought tools, and he was always the kind of person that's like, buy the best you can afford. And back when I'm looking at his tools, all I could see were these black and yellow things. I had no idea, to be fair, what they were, but he was stocked up on DeWalt. So we always had a nice array of tools to use. But we live out on an acreage, and we just had like an old shed before we were doing renovations. And then I think it was, when I just started building, my husband had decided he wanted to build a shop and I feel really bad because it isn't his shop anymore. But to put all his boy toys in, the holiday trailer, the boat, the quads, the sled, the ride-on lawnmowers, whatever. This is his thing. It's 40 by 48, 2 floors. And he built me inside that shop a 12 by 12 refinishing room, because at that time, before I just started building, I was refinishing furniture because I was a painter, so I needed someone to do it. And subsequently, he doesn't have anything in the shop, and he had to build another building in the yard temporarily to house all the toys, whilst his wife made a complete mess of the shop. So it's a 40 by 48 I have, and I'm going to sound as though I'm completely clueless, but it's only because to a degree it doesn't interest me so much. I don't care what the model number of a tool is. I don't care.
What? How?
No, I don't.
That.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't care. Yeah,
I get
if
it.
I go into,
You monster.
I know I like to.
Everybody, please.
Earphones.
Yeah, no, I just.
I know. Look at
This is
that.
That's terrible.
It's amazing.
If someone,
the
I mean,
the tool is amazing.
if someone says, what size air compressor do you have? I have no idea. All I know is it's bigger than me and it works. I don't care. I know I have an old Makita jointer planer. One of the old beasts. Gosh, that thing weighed a ton. I paid $500 online secondhand for it. It's a 12-inch planer, 6-inch jointer, and it's not moving because you cannot move that thing. It's heavy. So that's there. I can't even. I think I have. Is it called a King?
King. Yeah, I believe that's a tool manufacturer in Canada.
I think it's one of theirs. It rings a bell. Every time I look at the table saw, I look at it and say, I must remember what brand you are, and I never do. But that was $500 secondhand. It's a decent size. I think it's got a 48-inch. What's the thing called? Table?
Yeah.
Bed. There it is.
Bed.
I have the DeWalt 12-inch double bevel compound miter saw that I built a miter station for. All of my hand tools, the skill saw and everything, they're all DeWalt. What else do I use? A little rigid trim router, actually. I don't know what the brand name is of that, but that's pretty nice. Actually, no, one of my favorite tools isn't a DeWalt. It's okay, name me the red ones.
Milwaukee?
No.
Canadian
Freud
Milwaukee.
router.
Freud.
Big ass Freud router and router table. I like that because I like making my own profiles and moldings. I love doing that because you can jazz up any piece of furniture with that. I do want to get a bandsaw.
Yeah,
that's something that I've been looking into more so over the last month. But I suppose the only downside is because there's just me here, the only place I get to learn stuff like this is YouTube. And sometimes there's nothing better than actually talking to someone or using one or trying one out. So, I'm looking forward to this weekend with Wood next week because I'm going to get a lot from that because the bandsaw is going to be my next purchase.
Yeah.
I don't care what brand, as long as it works.
Right.
I feel like I've offended you, tool guys.
Oh, absolutely not. You're proving the point that Eloy and I were talking about this the other night. As a matter of fact, about how we make such a big deal out of that sometimes, and that I bet you could go and just get the cheapest of whatever you needed and pretty much do the same work you needed to get done, and it wouldn't even matter.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not so much the cheapest thing. If for me, because I typically don't care, I will just normally walk into Home Depot and say, do DeWalt build, make a thing that I need. If I needed a new, cordless nailer, do DeWalt make one? Yes, they do, I'll have that one. It's going to work. It's exactly the same as arguing with the boys about their trucks. Is Ford better? Is Dodge better? Is Chev better? They're all trucks. They're all going to work. A lot of it is just down to preference. I mean, obviously, you've got your Lamborghinis in the same respect as you've got your Festor. And obviously, you've got your little cars that don't work very well in the same respect as you've got your harbor freight tools. But to a degree, everything in the middle is going to do its job, and I don't care what anyone else says. So there.
Right. I agree. I'm not going to disagree.
So
I'm not going to
I've
disagree
really
with someone
upset
that.
all the guys watching.
No, I don't think so. You're just, proving a point, and a very good one at that.
So Amanda, someone comes up to you and they say, I've seen your work, and this, they come up to you personally and say, I'm so inspired, I'd like to do this. What tips, could you give me? I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do it because I've never done this before. I don't know, I've had some experience, but what in words of wisdom, inspiration, or what would you tell that someone about going in and attempting this adventure, for lack of a better word?
Okay, the first thing I would say is they've already crossed half of the bridge because they want to do it. You have to want to do it. So really all my job would be then is to bolster that person and point them in the direction of the resources that they need. So it was funny actually, because I had a message, what was it, about a month ago, from a lady who pretty much all asked me that very same question. She'd taken on 2 bed builds and was now absolutely terrified. She wasn't sure whether she was going to get them done on time, how she was going to do it, what had she done, oh my God, help, 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 just like a real panic thing. So I'm like, okay, stop. I'm going to write you out a schedule, and you are going to have these beds built in 2 weeks. And each day, follow this schedule. And I'm not going to make it so it's so, like you're up at 6 and going to bed at 2. This is a manageable thing for you to do every day, but you'll still get this completed. You won't feel tired, but every day you will have something that you can stand back at the end of the day and say, I did that. And that gives you the impetus to go forward the next day. So I did that for her, and I think she went over the schedule by about 2 days, and she wrote me the most wonderful email after. But I would say time management. If I'm not going to write somebody out a schedule, if it was just to the general public, how would I go about it? Find what you want to build, look online, see if there's some plans. Do you have the tools and equipment? If not, can you borrow them? Do you know someone that you can ask? And if not, join the maker community, join Instagram, because there's a whole lot of us on Instagram and on Facebook that will give you any help in the world you want. There's nothing a maker likes more than to encourage another maker, because you know that they're going to get that same spark that you get from making something. So, what advice would I give? Ask. We will help you.
That was awesome. I love that. That's really.
That was a Amanda Festo.
Yeah.
I'll see myself out. Thank you very much.
No, but I mean, it boils down to the fact that the self-belief and the confidence I've got from doing what I do and knowing that people like it. If I could bottle that and give it away. I wouldn't sell it. If I could give people that self-belief that I've gotten from doing this, I would give it away till I had no more, because it's phenomenal, because you feel good. And who wouldn't want everybody to feel good?
Amazing. So, wow, thank you for sharing that. So let me
You're
ask you,
welcome.
let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
Did you enjoy the show?
I love the show. Thank you for listening to my inane waffle for however long it's been.
Well, will you come back and see us again in the future?
I would love to. You guys are awesome, and I might even nip myself a bit. I don't nip, but I'll get someone to nip me a bit.
So are there any last words, shout outs, where we've mentioned it before, but where you'd like folks to go and learn more about what you do, all that good stuff, if
Sure. Well, I want to say thank you to everyone who may or may not have tuned in. We all appreciate it. Thank you very much. And if you want to see any more of my work, you can follow me over on Instagram. I am Rustic Duck Furniture. I also have a YouTube channel of the same name, and that's giving some tutorials. And finally, if anyone's going to be at Weekend with Wood next week, give me a shout. We can stop. We can have a drink and we can have a chat and swap some ideas there. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys. I've enjoyed it.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, I'm so like I said, your furniture, your pieces, it's like right on point, you know.
Thank you.
Doc, any final words?
It was a blast. It was nice keeping the seat warm for JP. Lots of fun. Amanda, it was again, it was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
and
likewise.
yeah, Eloy, thanks for letting me play along. Everyone in the chat, I hope I did JP justice.
All right. So I do want to thank the both of you for coming on and visiting with us. Thank you, Doc, for filling in with JP. Amanda, you were great. Incidentally, all the links are below in the description so that you can follow all of us here and JP as well. He's playing with some new toys, and it's his birthday and stuff, so he wanted to go off and do that. But we'll see him hopefully next week. And you guys out there, thank you so much. Thank you for the questions. We'll be back on Tuesday next week, 8 p.m. Eastern, with a special guest. So see you next time, guys.